But most of them know that, that this is not sustainable. I mean, the whole absurdity of negative interest rates. You pay people to take your money, and there's a lot of people right now, like a guy like Buffett, he just sits on it. And so it's a very defective system. So the Federal Reserve on a daily basis will become less relevant. So if you get to the point where conditions get much worse, which I expect they will even be less relevant. They might not have a snap of the fingers and the Fed is gone, but the authority of the Fed is going to dwindle, just as our foreign policy and our control of our empire is going to continue to dwindle to the point where we might have to do something like the Soviets did, just say, we've had it. Monetarily, I think that happens too, and that's why, one of my goals has been to promote competing currencies and let the people be prepared, and that is why I'm at this conference, not because I know very much about cryptocurrencies, although this is an alternative free market goal to have money and be useful because of the conditions that are coming, and we have to have something better than bartering. So this is why we have to talk about the metals and cryptocurrencies and let people decide what is best. So they are preparing for the end of the Fed, really, because it's a failed system.
Should we jump straight into it?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Broadcasting from Brisbane, Australia, this is The FOMO Show.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Joe.
And this is a fortnightly podcast where we talk about the exciting ideas changing the world today and what might change the world tomorrow.
We'll help you stay across what's going on so you don't get the fear of missing out.
You can find us at FOMO.show or by searching for The FOMO Show on your platform of choice.
Everything in the show's in the show notes. You can find links to the stuff we're talking about and timestamps to the relevant parts, so you can always skip ahead or find it later.
Now, this episode, we are going to be doing a whirlwind tour of all the news from the last month. We had a feature episode last episode, so we've got a fair bit to catch up on, and there is, as always, a lot of good stuff going on.
We're going to be talking about a bunch of news. We're going to cover a couple of the interesting blockchain headlines from the last few weeks.
We're also going to cover some future tech news with a highlight on AI-powered video editing.
We're also going to cover some augmented reality and VR news, notably Facebook's one-to-one mapping of the world in 3D through a new acquisition.
And then we'll look into the latest of transport as well. And there's some really exciting stuff for space travel, especially Elon Musk looking to produce 2 reusable Starship rockets every week.
That is insane.
Every week.
So strap in. You're going to love this episode.
Just a bit of disclosure, this podcast is not investment or any other type of advice.
We're not saying you should buy anything at all.
Full disclosure, we're both personally invested in shares, funds, cryptocurrencies, and even ideas, many of which we talk about on this show.
But if we talk about something you can buy, it doesn't mean you should buy it.
So do your research, never invest more than you can afford to lose, and most importantly, avoid the fear of missing out.
Yes.
So what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks, mate?
There's been a bunch of stuff on the last few weeks. I've been watching the TV show Silicon Valley. Have you watched much of that before?
Oh, look, I only like YouTube videos that people have sent me. I've never actually sat down and watched it properly.
Dude, you need to watch it. It's so much fun. In fact, you would love it right now. You'd absolutely love it. It's all about seed funding, about, people running startups, it's got the startup culture entirely, and they're so funny, and gotta love it.
How far are you through?
Oh, I'm on season 3, I believe.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, start from season. It's so snackable, man.
Yeah, okay. Oh, my wife and I have just finished watching The Office, so we might
Perfect. Sounds like you need it. She'll love it. There are some characters in there that are just so much fun.
Awesome.
Hey, what about you?
Just still working away on this super secret project. Every week I say we're getting closer, and we are. But that's kept me pretty busy. I'm trying to think of what else I've been doing. I've been listening to this book actually, which isn't really related to tech at all, but it's just super interesting. It's called Can't Hurt Me I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
It's like always on top of like Audible's bestseller lists, and generally anything that's on top of Audible's bestseller lists, I generally don't get.
Is that the David Goggins book?
That's the one. Yeah. Just awesome, man. Like I've just I bought it and just been listening to it, and it's brilliant. I'm a big fan. So
what's it all about?
He's lived a pretty crazy life, and had all sorts of things go wrong, and he basically just teaches you his principles for just living well, like getting out of your comfort zone, building very, very good habits. And he's all about taking like responsibility, accountability, and he's very big on like, life's not going to help you, no one's going to help you, you just got to help yourself. And he gives you all these strategies to help you based on his life story. So super cool. Like, because I find even though like I it seems like I get a lot done, like I still waste a lot of time, still not as fit as I'd like to be, a whole bunch of other things. And yeah, man, like ever since I've been reading this book, like it has made a material difference in my life. So
wow.
Yeah, really, I'd recommend it to people if they're
David
like
Goggins, he was on the Joe Rogan Experience, wasn't he?
Was he?
That's where I've heard the name before. Yeah,
okay.
I've seen the name recently, but I'm actually going to add that Joe Rogan episode to my watch later on YouTube. And we'll stick the link in the show notes to that as well. I need to check that out. Sounds awesome.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Like I said, I could recommend it to anyone. I'm now going for a run every single day without fail because of this book.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Definitely makes a difference.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Are you certain that you're private and safe online? If you're not, or if you just want to get some extra tips, you can check out our new resource at FOMO.show/privacy. It's this great repository of our favorite tools to understand and improve your online security.
And if you're new to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, check out our Blockchain Basics series, which covers the fundamentals. It starts from episode 2 and continues until episode 8.
All right, let's get into our news. So first up, we've got some blockchain news.
12% of Forbes' top 50 fintech companies for 2020 are in blockchain.
Yeah, so carrying a blockchain and Bitcoin category tags, Forbes listed companies like Axoni, Chainalysis, Coinbase, Everledger, MakerDAO, and Ripple amongst its top 50 fintech list for 2020, which was released on Feb 12.
Yeah, so there were some other contenders on the list, which included companies such as Plaid, Opendoor, and Lemonade. Isn't that
Lemonade.
An insurance company?
Yeah, love Lemonade.
Actually, have a really cool website.
Oh, man, for our super secret project that I still can't talk about, we've actually taken a lot of inspiration from the Lemonade website, because they've just got just a super clean, crisp website. I love
They
them.
have one of the best websites I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Love it. Love it. But yeah, they're categorized under payments, real estate, and insurance, respectively, for Plaid, Opendoor, and Lemonade. So yeah, lots of things, but Bitcoin and blockchain seem to be making a bit of headway. So I guess slow and steady.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have seen 12% of the top 50 fintech companies 5 years ago in Bitcoin and blockchain. So there's definitely some companies out there doing really well, which is great. Now, it's kind of related to that. Australia has finally released their, I'm not going to say hotly anticipated, but probably longly awaited is the best way to describe this thing. Their blockchain roadmap.
Which is being described by myself as below average. Thanks to Pav for sharing this one in our Telegram chat the other week. But yeah, going into this, agriculture, manufacturing, and renewable energy are all ripe for blockchain-powered disruption, according to a new national strategy from the Australian government.
Yeah, and lifting directly from the report, they've said that as with any emerging disruptive, there's that word, technology, blockchain and its uses will need regulatory frameworks that are fit for purpose.
Yes.
Challenges include maintaining trust on a trustless ledger, ensuring security of blockchain systems and the integrity of data on a trustless ledger, identifying participants in blockchain systems, no pesky pseudonymous hashing balancing privacy with transparency, tech neutrality, and the legal status of smart contracts.
I love that they say balancing privacy with transparency directly after they say identifying everybody who does everything.
Yeah, and it's funny, look, mate, we've talked about this a fair bit, like offline. You know, we're kind of like, we're in this weird space now where part of us wants blockchain to succeed, you know, like we want some of the cool things that we've talked about in the past to succeed, but then like a whole nother part of us wants it just to fail miserably, you know, just because of this kind of stuff that they're talking about now, you know.
Oh, now if you like the sound of that sort of train of thought, check out the Bitcoin PSYOP, which is a video that James Corbett did on his website, which talks about, the balance between, Bitcoin and blockchain and the idea of having private transactions versus the blockchain being used to track everything that you do wherever you are. Now, long story short, with Australia's blockchain roadmap, they're saying, look, we want to know who you are, what you're doing immutably so that you can never delete a record of what you've done. Yeah.
And the 52-page roadmap signposts the changes to regulation, education, and investment that are needed to make Australia an international blockchain leader, they say.
Lol.
Yeah. And at present, blockchain tech is used in the Australian financial and insurance industries. And they've listed some current projects there too.
Yeah, so some of the projects that are include the development of chess. Now, this is huge. Now, if you're in Australia and you're an investor, so you buy shares or funds. Now, the chess is the system that keeps the record of that. Now, I think it means something to do with something electronic clearinghouse. I can't remember, but it's basically where all of the share ownership and fund ownership records are held. And they're actually moving chess to the blockchain. So that's huge because every investor in Australia will have come across that and will have had to fill out some chess forms. Another project is Perth Mint, who is the largest refiner of newly mined gold in the world. They've established the Perth Mint Gold Token. So they highlighted those as projects that are pretty exciting.
Yeah, and it points to several industries outside the financial sector that are primed to benefit from integrating blockchain. And one of the I just don't know whether to call it the weirdest or the least. It's they've highlighted the wine industry, which we haven't really heard much about, but is actually a very big industry in Australia. And they've pointed to the roughly like estimated $1.68 billion of counterfeiting losses in the wine industry in 2017. And they've said that they're poised to take advantage of the transparency and data sharing efficiencies of blockchain.
So by using blockchain to track inventory and facilitate automated payments between supply chain members, the wine industry could potentially save money and improve productivity. It hasn't actually said how that would actually cut down on counterfeit wine, but other industries including credentials and higher education. This is really interesting, I think. Like, you get your university degree from somewhere, they're set to benefit from being able to prove authenticity. Because currently, like when I moved to Australia, I was asked by a business to send them the details of my university degree. And I contacted my uni and it ended up being too much effort. I had to pay them money to print out some paper and post it to me. Versus, why not just have, as soon as my degree's there should be a blockchain that says, yep, you could just search degree certificates from different people and la la la. And
yeah, and it's all there. So I completely agree. I mean, there are definitely ways where this tech can be harnessed to do great things like that. It does briefly also mention the 30 businesses in Queensland's town of Agnes Waters and 1770 that accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment. But doesn't really suggest how the payment side of blockchain can be built upon. And there is like a surprising lack of of focus on the payment side of blockchain in this blockchain roadmap, which is strange because that's where the whole thing came from.
And probably because that signals an end to our current financial system. So it's probably best to ignore that part.
Yes. Yeah, don't talk about the war.
Well, they do acknowledge, however, that the erosion of trust in social media, banks and governments means that blockchain and other decentralized technologies are increasingly preferred to traditional intermediaries. So that's something.
Yeah, exactly.
Samsung's new Galaxy S20 will have cryptocurrency support. Yeah, so just like the previous S10, their flagship phones will continue to support cryptocurrencies, but this time around, it's no longer a main selling point. So, yeah, it's just kind of getting normalized.
Yeah, it's becoming standard on a lot of these Android phones, which is actually really cool. Like, I think it's just another step in building the infrastructure for this stuff. It's becoming a bit of an expectation now. So the payment rails are going in, and if you want to pay with crypto, if you want to pay with Bitcoin or whatever else, phones are just going to support it out of the box more and more now, which is awesome. I think it's just it's a really good sign.
Yeah. And final piece of crypto news. I was listening to the Third Row Tesla podcast. They had Elon Musk on. They all sat in a room with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk's brother was there as well. And they just had a bit of a chinwag. Really interesting podcast episode if you want to have a bit of a listen to the story behind Tesla and some of the trials and tribulations they've been through. But if you skip to 1 hour, 32 minutes and 58 seconds through, Elon gives a bit of he's asked what he thinks of Bitcoin because he was an early member of PayPal. And he gives his opinion, and we'll play it for you now.
And you love code, but you don't seem to be as bullish on Bitcoin. Do you have any, could you break down like why? Because you're talking about this big database that's more secure for faster transactions. It seems like Bitcoin's hitting at least some of those.
I'm neither here nor there on Bitcoin. Yeah.
What did you think when you read like Satoshi's white paper for the first time? You're like, oh, it's pretty interesting. Or
that was pretty clever. It's just like the things. Yeah. This always gets like the crypto people angry, but there are transactions that are not within the bounds of the law, and there are obviously many laws in different countries. And normally cash is used for these transactions, but in order for illegal transactions to occur, the cash must also be used for legal transactions. You need an illegal to legal bridge. That's where crypto comes in.
So is it kind of the dark net stuff?
It can't be entirely dark, because otherwise how do you buy normal stuff?
True. Yeah.
And cash these days is used just much rarer. It's hard. It's like increasingly difficult to use cash. Some places you can't use cash at all.
Yeah. True.
So there's a forcing function for transactions that are illegal, quasi-legal, and in some cases legal. But it's got to have some. It's got to be both legal and illegal. It doesn't count otherwise. Otherwise, you simply it can't just be transactions within an illegal economy. Because how do you buy food in a house or something? You must have a legal to illegal bridge. So what I see crypto as is effectively as a replacement for cash, but not as a replacement as a primary. I do not see crypto being the primary database. So now this is sometimes taken being like I'm being judgmental about crypto, and it's actually, I think there's a lot of things that are illegal that shouldn't be illegal. But so. It's not as though I think that sometimes governments just have too many laws about that they shouldn't have so many things that are illegal.
What is really interesting is just after this segment, he does talk about laws on Mars and how current laws are actually really overly complicated. It's really interesting how money and law is actually tied very interestingly together in this piece. But yeah, interesting little piece from our Lord and Savior Elon Musk.
Jumping into our future tech news now. The first bit of news, Google Dataset search is now out of beta and it's live.
Yeah, so Google's Dataset search has indexed almost 25 million datasets, giving you a single place to search for datasets and find links to where data is.
Now, over the past year, people have tried it out and they've provided feedback, and now it's officially out of beta. So you can go and check it out at datasetsearch.research.google.com.
Having a place to be able to find data sets, that's really part of the future that Tim Berners-Lee really loved, is that, you know, he was all about interlinked data and interlinked ideas like that. So yeah, it's really cool, and it really shows where we're going in the future. So in the future, when you want to be able to find, you know, what is the population of Australia, or what is the taxation rate in Australia over time. Now, I actually Googled that rate the other day, but I couldn't find the data behind it. I wanted to find what was it this year and what was it the year before and the year before that. But having a data set search is, you know, especially in the future, is going to be so useful.
And I just ran that search then, and it's given me a whole bunch of sources. So this is amazing the way it can find all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this actually would have been really useful for some of the things I was doing not that long ago.
Mate.
Trying to find data on stuff. So
yeah, so you can search like Australia population, and there's like, it gives you a bunch of results, 100 plus data sets. You can search amongst formats and the usage rights, and yeah, awesome.
This is unreal. Yeah, so definitely go check that out. I shouldn't be playing with it while we're recording, but go click on the link and play around with it. It looks great.
Next bit of future tech news, Microsoft are introducing a dual screen operating system.
Yeah, so they've created a device experience that gives you the option to benefit from a larger screen and have two defined screens so you can do more on a single device.
Yeah, now check out the link in the show notes. But long story short, it looks pretty awesome. Of what there's a new Microsoft device. I think it was called the Surface Duo. And it's a 2-screened tablet that you can use. Now, we'll put the link to that in the show notes as well, but it looks amazing. So having a tablet that's you open up and it's almost like a little book. Each page you can control independently. Play the video on that. It's got some really cool concepts of where this stuff is going, and it's available for developers. So if you build stuff, it's really cool because you could make for example, let's take a really basic example of like a weather app. You could have the route weather on the left-hand side, and then you could have on the right-hand side, you know, the hour-by-hour forecast. So you could scroll down one side while the other one stays the same, and both screens work together. So really interesting.
Yeah. The video kind of tells the story a lot better than we can probably tell it on the podcast. But yeah, even just watching this, you know, lady go sit down with her Surface that kind of looks like a book, and then she folds a keyboard out, and everything kind of works. And everything kind of works way more responsively than I've ever seen a Surface work, because mine definitely is not that responsive. But if they can pull it off, it looks really, really cool. It's mate, one thing, like, this is completely off the topic of the Surface itself, but one thing that's really amazed me, or just intrigued me anyway, is watching not the battle, but I guess the differences between Apple and Microsoft over the last 20 years. Because like, if you look at Apple from, say, when Steve Jobs took back over all the way through to, I don't know, like 2012, 2013 or something, they were really pushing the boundaries, really developing cool, functional new technology. And everyone was playing catch up. And ever since Jobs has obviously passed away and Tim Cook's taken over, they've definitely been a lot more safe. And it's almost been like at the same time Microsoft hired Satya Nadella as CEO, they've just like completely shifted their thinking and started really pushing the boundaries in a lot of ways that I almost feel like they're kind of doing what Apple did 10, 15 years ago with a lot of this device tech. Because Surface has got huge market penetration now. Like, they, particularly in the business setting, they're becoming a big favorite for a lot of businesses to use. And looking at this, I mean, this is something I would have expected from Apple 10 years ago, this Surface Duo.
This is a really random piece of news, but really cool nonetheless. A graphene amplifier unlocks hidden frequencies in the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah, so researchers have created a unique device which will unlock the elusive terahertz wavelengths and make revolutionary new technologies possible, they say.
Now, terahertz waves sit between microwaves and infrared in the light frequency spectrum. But due to their low energy, scientists have been unable to harness their potential. The conundrum is known in scientific circles as the terahertz gap.
Now, a team of physicists have created a new type of optical transistor, a working terahertz amplifier, using graphene and a high-temperature superconductor. And the physics behind the simple amplifier relies on the properties of graphene, which is transparent and is not sensitive to light. And graphene electrons actually have no mass as well. So it's made up of 2 layers of graphene and a superconductor that trap the graphene massless electrons between them like a sandwich.
Loved sandwiches. Who can disagree with that? The device is then connected to a power source, and when the terahertz radiation hits the graphene outer layer, the trapped particles inside attach themselves to the outgoing waves, amplifying them. So long story short, it just means that we're going to be able to get, I guess, faster wave-based stuff, Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and I think higher capacity too. Like, I mean, the benefits for this for things like wireless communications, probably radio imaging, anything that relies on wireless could be pretty crazy. I mean, I was reading this and getting really excited myself. So it's a bold new frontier, and I don't think any of us probably know where it's gonna take us, but it's probably going to unlock some pretty cool new possibilities. So the next bit of news, this is a really cool piece out of Wired, and they've talked about how AI will turn us all into filmmakers.
Now, they start off as artificial intelligence sneaks its way into all corners of life, driving, finance, chatbots. Everyday video will become ripe for an upgrade.
They say that in high school, Mackenzie Leake shot a movie. It gave her a punishing lesson in editing video. Leake spent countless hours over the course of weeks scrubbing through her footage to find the best shots, then painstakingly assembling them. And she said it's a ton of grunt work.
As somebody who works in marketing for the day-to-day, when you shoot video, you get a load of footage, and scrubbing through them to find those good shots is a nightmare. It is a ton of grunt work, as she says. But interestingly, 7 years later, Mackenzie is trying to accelerate the process. She's a graduate student in computer science at Stanford, and Leake is working with a team to make a piece of software that automatically analyzes scripted film footage.
Yeah, so the program uses AI to recognize faces and shot types, and even transcribes the spoken words so it knows where each frame ought to line up with the dialogue. And once the AI has done its work, you can specify the style of shot you'd like to use in your edit, full frame, close-ups, wide shots, and voila, the software splices together a take using all those parameters.
So in essence, it's a robot that produces a surprisingly decent-looking result in a few seconds. And if you don't like the edit, you can have it generate a new one.
Welcome to the future.
Absolutely.
Mate, I mean, the thing about this, like, I don't think anyone expects it to generate perfect film footage the first time. But what it probably does is it cuts down on a lot of that back and forth, all the menial stuff that I'm sure you just sit there thinking, this is repeatable, this is quite confined, like this could be automated, but there's just hasn't been any way to do that up until now.
Absolutely. Well, let's just take an example. I was filming an event the other month. Now I just picked up my camera, I stuck it on a little stabilizer to get some smooth shots, and I took loads and loads of footage. When you put the idea of AI into this, I could just shoot all of the footage and then just stick it somewhere, and then an AI could literally just come in and say, okay, cool. This is the rough sort of idea. What do you reckon of this? What do you reckon of this? So here are 13 different ideas for how you could start this video. Here's the main part, and here's the final bit, and then slap your logo in at the end and you're done. So it's like, it really could save, like, I would love to just be able to upload my footage and just say, go nuts, give me some options. And it gives me 20 different options, and I can get something that's 90% of what I want and then cut the rest. And it's the same with building a website. You just want something that's 90% of what you want, and you do the rest.
Exactly right. I mean, that's why we use templates for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets you most of the way there, because that's always the hardest part. It's starting. It's like, coming up with something from a blank canvas, particularly digitally, is like really tough. Like you spend a lot of time kind of toing and froing, whereas if you've got something to base it upon, even if you end up like converting 90% of it to something else, like it just gets you started.
Yeah, and that's the really hard part because it's such a fine art getting it right. But you know, imagine if you had the access to the entire of YouTube and you could look at everything that YouTube did really well and then chopped it together nicely. That would be what it would be. And speaking of which, let's go into the next piece of news.
Yeah, so this is about Autoflip, which is something from Google, and it's an open source framework for intelligent video reframing. Now, videos filmed and edited for television and desktop are typically created and viewed in landscape aspect ratio, so like 16:9 or 4:3. But with an increasing number of users creating and consuming content on mobile, particularly in a portrait viewpoint, those aspect ratios generally just aren't what we need at all for the mobile.
Basically, taking a video that was shot really professionally on the regular dimension, Autoflip by Google analyzes the content, develops optimal tracking and cropping strategies, and produces a video output which can come in a different aspect ratio. So you could shoot all your video in landscape and Google will make some content that could go up to Instagram.
Yeah, and that just like cuts down on a lot of the time that content creators spend trying to optimize things for different platforms and like get things right. And it also means that you can use your content in a bunch of different contexts as well. So you don't have to be limited to that portrait use. You can push it out across your different platforms and it will look different in each, but you won't lose much. So next bit of news, DICE have come up with a list of the hottest jobs in tech.
Yeah, and software developer ranks as a top tech job, while data engineer is the fastest growing.
Yeah, now they drew these conclusions by analysing 6 million 2019 job postings in the United States using a database provided by Burning Glass Technologies, which aggregated data from employer sites, job boards, and staffing agencies.
Now, after filtering for information technology jobs, they found that a whopping 12% of all tech job listings in 2019 saw software developers, keeping that tech profession in first place. Network engineer came in second, followed by systems engineer.
The list, I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect by looking at a tech list like this, but there are other jobs in there: senior software developer, application tester, IT project manager, and cybersecurity engineer, interestingly enough, is now in the top 10 tech occupations, which kind of signals the way that the industry is going as a whole.
Yeah, now I work for a cybersecurity company and I can 100% attest network people, cybersecurity people, software people, they're eating the world. Absolutely. Really interesting. You've got, data engineers, back-end developers for fastest growing tech occupations. Data scientists, CRM developers, so that's just managing the data through all of the contacts for a business, user interface developers, Python developers, loads of other developers. Basically, if you can develop things, you're in the money.
Awesome. I know what I'm teaching my kid.
Let's jump into our augmented reality, virtual reality news. Now, first one, this is a piece that was out of CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show. Now, Bosch, the German tech giant, they've got smart glasses right with tiny eyeball lasers. This is a piece that is out of the IEEE Spectrum magazine. Now, basically, they've made a set of glasses that point a tiny laser array into your retina, which paints images onto your eyes.
This was a really interesting piece because it actually was written from the perspective of a reporter who went to the CES to actually demo the smart glasses, and he's put it together really well, and we thought it might be useful to give listeners a perspective from someone who's actually tried this out.
So he started off saying the reason that Bosch was somewhat reluctant to squeeze me in for a demo is that you can't just slap these prototype smart glasses onto your face and fire them up. They almost certainly won't work unless you get a custom fitting.
For this to work, the lasers have to pass cleanly through your pupil, which means that the frame and lenses have to be carefully fitted to the geometry of your face. Frames with prescription lenses work fine. And if anything gets misaligned, you won't see the image. So the whole fitting process takes just a few minutes, And the prototype glasses were reasonably forgiving, he said. You could wiggle them around a bit or reposition them slightly without causing the image to disappear. The downside, of course, is that buying a pair will involve extra steps, which presents a minor hurdle to adoption.
Please do click through to the link in the show notes. You'll see a few accompanying photographs because he had to get someone to fit these glasses to him so that he could see what this smart glasses future was like.
Yeah, and he said that as soon as the contextual display is turned on, you see a bright, sharp, colourful image hanging right out in front of you. The concept video doesn't really do it justice. It looks great. And it takes up just a small part of your total field of view, so it's not overwhelming, but it's large enough to contain some easily visible text and icons.
Like some of the other augmented reality startups like Magic Leap that you would have seen with their demos having, you could put the glasses on and you can see a whale jumping out of, the ground in front of you or whatever. But this is intended to display really helpful contextual information just when you need it. So if you want a direction somewhere, it just points an arrow over your vision so you can just see which way you need to go.
And this sounds really attractive because us who've played games, we understand the idea of an overlay, like a heads-up display, which kind of gives you the information you need but doesn't get in your way. It's there for reference if you need it. And I think that's something that would be really, really useful, particularly as we start to augment our world more and more. I could definitely find that useful, having bits of information that I want pop up when I need it.
Now, the next piece is from Facebook. They've bought an augmented reality startup that are trying to build a one-to-one digital map of the physical world.
Yeah, this is wild. So they've reportedly acquired Scape Technologies, a UK augmented reality startup. They estimate the purchase price to be around $40 million, and Scape's technology is about creating a one-to-one digital representation of the physical world. It's as much a mapping company as an AR startup.
Yeah, so it's trying to build an infrastructure for the next generation of spatial computing devices, they're calling it, which includes wearables, autonomous vehicles, Bosch glasses like we just talked about, and other devices.
Scape want to make any physical location or place capable of displaying AR content, and the challenge has to be location precision. So Scape has created a 3D renderings of the world with location precision that don't rely on current location technologies like cell tower triangulation, GPS, or reverse IP targeting. And the company claims its visual positioning system provides centimeter-level location recognition at a previously unprecedented scale.
Yeah, so they were partially inspired by Pokemon Go, and there are a bunch of applications in architecture, urban planning, education, gaming, and entertainment. But most interestingly, I think this is a really interesting competitor to Google Maps' AR. Now, if anybody who's on a newer Android phone and you open Google Maps, you can actually, if you're looking, I actually tried this out when I was in Melbourne recently. I wanted directions somewhere. So I searched for the place that I wanted to go. And then I went on to, I clicked go for give me directions. But then I clicked on the button to give me AR directions. It basically says, move your phone around and point at the nearby buildings. So you point at the nearby buildings. Google cross-references that against what it's picked up in its street maps information from the cars that drive around. It recognizes the buildings, and then it overlays your wherever you're holding your phone with a direction arrow that points you to where you need to go.
Yeah, right. And so, how'd you find it?
It was incredible. So I said, I'm looking for this cafe. And it goes, okay, point your phone at the nearest buildings. So I pointed my phone around, and then it overlaid on my phone a dotted line across the real street in front of me in real time. So I was giving Google information about what I was looking at, but there was a dotted line that it superimposed saying you need to walk down here and then take the left here, and then it's there. So it actually had full-on arrows overlaying what was in front of me.
Wow. Okay. How was battery life?
It was incredible. Now, I'm running a Google Pixel, so I guess it was optimized for that, but it didn't actually hog a huge amount of battery.
Okay.
So I used it numerous times during my trip to Melbourne, but yeah, it was insane.
Oh, wow. That sounds unreal. And I guess this does seem like a competitive play from Facebook, but I mean, I'm just thinking of like all the different applications for this kind of tech. I mean, the project that I'm working on, it's really important that we can look at some topology, some real world topology, and kind of get an idea of how things look from different locations. And I mean, if they're doing what they say they're doing, basically creating a 1-to-1 digital representation of the physical world. I mean, you think of the amount of jobs that revolve around surveying, that revolve around like going out and looking at physical places, and instead of doing that, like being able to stand in a position and, you know, have all these tools at your disposal as well, like not just what you got in the real world, but what you'd have in a digital world. That's going to be super powerful. Like that's going to be very, very, very powerful.
And I have almost no doubt that when I was holding my phone up to that building to try and tell Google where I was so it could tell me where I needed to go, that data was probably feeding into Google to say, here's an updated image of what this building looks like in 2020 January.
Yeah.
So,
and updating Google Earth, updating all their other things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Oh, mate. It's crazy. So next bit of news, AR and VR engineers have replaced blockchain programmers as the hottest commodity.
Yes, AR, VR jobs are hot, with demand surging 1,400% in 2019, according to a new State of Software Engineers report by the job site Hired.
Yeah, and this means that AR and VR knowledge is the hot new thing, supplanting blockchain engineers who, according to Hired's data, were in demand a year ago. In the last year's report, blockchain engineers' demand grew 517% year on year. So this is actually 3 times the amount I remember last year we covered this, I think, and we were talking about blockchain engineer demand, and we were blown away by that. But this is almost 3 times as much.
Pretty crazy. So it just goes to show, like, all the applications of AR, VR, they're way easier to attain right now than blockchain stuff. So yeah, no wonder there's some hype. Like when you're seeing what people are doing with it, like Google's Maps VR stuff, and you think about what, like, you let's say you had a golf course, you could turn that into VR. You could map every hole. You could give wind directions in real time. You could give, approximate, here's where you need to aim your thing or whatever. There's a lot of potential. Or a museum, you could do a virtual tour. If you have an office, you could do here's what all the different teams do. Here's which way to find the coffee machine. Here's where our toilets are. Just really basic things. But that tech is super exciting. And yeah, watch that space.
But we've got a roadmap now.
Australia have a roadmap.
That's right.
Which means there must be a road somewhere.
Everything is different.
Yeah. Nothing will ever
Changes
be the same.
come.
Last little bit, I was thinking the other week about, how AR and VR stuff is going to move into the exercise space. And I actually Googled, I was like, what, is there such a thing as guided, I was thinking about doing yoga at home. And I was like, I'd love to have a yoga lesson at home. And then I just YouTubed Tai Chi VR. You've actually got Oculus Rift powered Tai Chi sessions where you could drop yourself into this, absolute beautiful meadow with long grass and rivers and, panpipe music playing in the background. And with your 2 little handsets, it will tell you how to do Tai Chi.
Wow.
And that's the future, man. It's actually the future. And watch the video.
Yeah.
We put it in the show notes, a guided Tai Chi YouTube link. It's just a trailer to a thing, but it just shows the very start of where we're up to. You're going to be able to just stand at the top of this really tall mountain overlooking islands and tropical lands, and it will tell you where to move your arms really slowly in 3D space. And the 3D space part is really important because it's this is helping you actually get healthy and better and a non-sore back. You get points for it, and you can see birds flying around. How cool is that?
That is so cool. That's what I want to work in. I'd love to be able to have that kind of backdrop to work in. Like you were saying, on top of an island or a mountain, but it makes so much sense for meditation because that's the kind of, you want to go somewhere different. And
whereas you're talking about
that's
writing
amazing, mate. I'm actually blown away. What's that?
You're talking about writing legal documents in tropical paradise. Brilliant.
Anything to make it more bearable.
Yeah. But no, it looks nuts. So yeah, check out the trailer.
Yeah, that looks unreal. Okay, on to our privacy news. There are now ultrasonic bracelets which can jam the microphones around you.
Yeah, this is a research project from the University of Chicago. These researchers have built this experimental bracelet that has 24 different speakers designed to jam most microphones no matter which direction they're in.
Yeah, the gadget takes advantage of non-linearities in its built-in amplifier to leak ultrasonic noise into the audible range and render recordings useless. And the bracelet design isn't just for the sake of fashion. It not only ensures omnidirectional jamming, it eliminates blind spots where transducers cancel each other out through your wrist movement. And as a result, it's more effective than dedicated stationary jammers and can even scramble hidden mics.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to use this prototype bracelet tomorrow. It's a bit clunky and the internals, there's a lot of different boards and things behind it. You could actually build this type of thing for about $20 US, but it really goes to show in our current world where people are recording people undercover and stuff like that, it's a really interesting move, just like the fact that even someone's making it as a research project. This is actually something that some people will want because they're worried that people are going to spy on them.
Yeah, it's like this kind of thing, like it's quite cheap. Like once they got it mass produced, like it would be quite cheap to break a lot of very expensive surveillance, and it would actually make it so much more expensive to try and get around it. So, yeah, it could be very, very powerful.
So watch this space. In 2021, it's your first day as a public servant, and they hand you one of these bracelets and they say, look, this protects you from people who want to do you harm.
No comment.
All right, let's move on to some general world news.
Cool. So first bit of news, a car splatometer test are revealing a huge decline in the number of insects in the world.
Yeah, research has shown abundance at sites in Europe has plunged by up to 80% in 2 decades. 2
scientific studies of the number of insects splattered by cars have revealed a huge decline in the insects, and they've actually said that the research adds to what a lot of scientists are calling an insect apocalypse, which is threatening a collapse in the natural world that sustains humans and all life on Earth.
Yeah, a third study even showed plummeting numbers in aquatic insects in streams. Now, the survey of insects hitting cars in rural Denmark used data collected every summer from 1997 to 2017 and found that 80% decline in abundance. It found a parallel decline in the number of swallows and martins, which are birds that live on those insects.
Yeah, well, the second survey in the UK county of Kent examined splats in a grid placed over car registration plates known as a splatometer, and this revealed 50% fewer impacts than in 2004. The research included vintage cars up to 70 years old to see if their less aerodynamic shape meant they killed more bugs, but it actually found that modern cars hit slightly more insects than the older types of cars.
So if insects go, some of those birds that are related, as they've mentioned, also go. The bees go, we go.
Yeah. And it was funny, man. When I was reading this, I kind of thought back to the last few years when I've driven out to the country, for example, to our farm. Yeah. And I do remember, like, back when I was younger, we used to have to clean bugs off our windscreen all the time. Like, it was just... You would always hit them, particularly like at twilight or at night time. Just be thunk, 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 like all the time. And even when we've travelled out there and we've driven back, late at night, I don't remember one time in the last few years where we've had a huge amount of insects on our windscreen.
And it's probably just a coincidence that we've been spraying all of the fields for crops with neonicotinoid pesticides for well over 2 decades now. So yeah, anyway, nothing to worry about there. Anyway, cool. Right, let's move on from that. the world food supply is actually increasing faster than population growth.
Yeah, this is from nextbigfuture.com, and they've said the world population is growing at about 1.1% each year, and world food production is increasing at a faster rate.
Yeah, so if we were only able to have food production keep pace with population growth from 1996, we would have 2.48 billion tons of cereal production. There was an 8.8% increase in food levels compared to 96. So, long story short, they've only been comparing this with cereal production, but there is a huge amount of production of food, which is actually beating the population growth rate. So that's kind of a good sign in a way.
It is, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of talk about a global famine about 10 years ago because we just weren't really tracking the right way to have enough food for everyone. Obviously, a lot of people were living in poverty and weren't getting food, but yeah, like it's looking like the increases in food technology combined with just the way that the land is being used now as well, and probably the techniques are changing too. Where we're improving, we're producing more food than we are people.
All hope is not lost. We're actually going on a pretty good way there. There are just no insects.
Yeah. On to the next crisis. It's okay. We can make some mechanical insects, just like that Black Mirror episode.
Transport news.
Let's do it. So in our transport news, Tesla is building a pilot battery cell manufacturing line in Fremont, which is, and they're getting into the cell business.
Yeah, so they're building a pilot battery cell manufacturing line in Fremont and designing their own equipment to produce the cells. So for a few months, Tesla has been rumored to be working on making its own battery cells for its electric vehicles. Now, up until now, Tesla has been working closely with Panasonic for years as the partner for making batteries. Now, there have been a number of pieces of news that have made it onto actual news sites about disagreements with Panasonic and some letdowns from Panasonic about the volume of batteries. Now, Tesla decided that they were going to start making their own.
Yeah, and it makes sense because they rely so much on their batteries. Their batteries are an integral part of their vehicles, and it does actually seem to be the part of their vehicles that's laying them down the most at the moment. And so it started with the acquisition of Maxwell, who are a supercapacitor manufacturer with some battery cell technology. And later at its annual shareholders meeting, Tesla all but confirmed that it's going to manufacture its own battery cells.
So it's going to be a brand new product line for Tesla. The cells produced on their new pilot production line would be the first official cells manufactured by Tesla. Bit of self-sustainability, and it just means more control for them, more money for them. And in the long term, because it takes a lot of money to create something from scratch, but in the long term, that could mean more potential money for them.
And Musk does want more batteries. I mean, he even vented about the apparent disconnect during one of the investor meetings in January 2019, mentioning that Tesla was cell-starved for vehicle production.
Yes, Panasonic, who are operating production lines in Tesla's Nevada Gigafactory, couldn't supply batteries at the rate that he expected them to, which was slowing down their output.
Yeah, and although Musk has maintained that the relationship with Panasonic hadn't broken down, their ambitious acquisitions do paint a bit of a different picture. And Tesla did attempt to develop its own batteries several years before the launch of Model S, but ended up discarding the project as it proved too expensive.
But now they got a ton of money. The share price is massive. Now, the interesting thing to note is that Elon Musk, the way he raises money is that he takes loans against the shareholding that he owns in his businesses. Now, I bought a Tesla share just less than a year ago. The shares have gone up like 100% since then. So you can see Musk, he could just go to the bank and he can say, okay, I want to take out a loan against these shares, which are 100% higher than they were a year ago, which means I can get twice as much money from the bank.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for him to produce them.
Everything he does, just it's so intelligent and outside of the box. And his funding models are a really interesting study in a way that a founder can continually raise capital that's needed for his company, basically leveraging his own shareholding, which is very interesting. So next bit of news, the first electric fire truck in US has found a buyer, and that's Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Fire Department, the LAFD, LAFD, they're going to be the first. They're going to be the first North American agency to take delivery of an electric fire truck from an Austrian firm called Rosenbauer.
So the single fire truck is scheduled to be delivered in 2021 and will likely be assigned to a fire station in Hollywood, according to an LAFD press release. And of course, it's going to Hollywood.
Yep. Technically, the truck isn't a fully electric vehicle. It's a range-extended electric vehicle. It will have 2 battery packs with a combined capacity of 100 kilowatt hours, allowing for about 2 hours of all-electric operation, according to Rosenbauer. That will cover 90% of use cases, the company have said.
Yeah, so for the other 10%, the longer duration operations, the truck will also be equipped with a diesel range extender. And the vehicle will be a production-ready version of Rosenbauer's concept fire truck, or CFT, SUFT, which...
That did not need an acronym, but all right.
which was first shown to the public in 2016.
Yeah, so in addition to their extended range electric powertrain, the CFT featured other design innovations, including more compact proportions than traditional fire trucks, as well as digital information screens and connectivity features that seem to be obligatory in all modern vehicles. So I'm guessing they mean to say it has Bluetooth.
Yes. Although, like, if they were going the electric vehicle route, I mean, imagine if you hopped in and it's just like a Tesla, like it's just all screens.
Oh, that would be sick.
You know?
Yep.
Ugh.
Kane.
Anyway.
So, yeah.
Probably not. I mean, CFT sounds more like a tax. Like something an accountant would write on their sheet, doesn't it? So it's probably very Spartan. Rosenbauer expects up to 400 vehicles based on the CFT design to be operating in North America by 2025. So not a huge amount of vehicles, actually. I thought they'd be trying to get more in there, but 400.
Yeah, so 1 this year and then 399 from between next year and 2025. Nice. Amazon patented a system that literally whips stuff into orbit.
Yeah, so a newly published patent dating back to 2017 lays out plans for a ship-based launch system that whips payloads into orbit using a miles-long whip that is being guided by a whole bunch of drones. And the goal is to increase energy efficiency by reducing the fuel needed to get to altitude.
Yeah, so the system was dreamed up by an Amazon Air VP, Ger Kimchi, and the winningly named senior Amazon inventor, Louis Leroy Legrand III.
Sounds like an NFL player.
Yeah, it's surprisingly detailed in their patent application.
So it's an unusual concept. A miles-long whip is attached to a boat on one end and a drone carrying the payload on the other end. A series of additional drones attached to the length of the whip fly up and down to generate a whip waveform. The end with the payload then cracks like a whip, sending the payload flying.
And the system could be scaled down to even fling smaller packages attached to aerial vehicles into the air as well. Payloads could even be flung from planes mid-air. But the main focus of the application is on space-based applications, satellites.
Yeah, I would love to see what they're encasing this stuff into. Like, because I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of force, and yeah, like I mean, if you can't really have a satellite being whipped into space, not covered and wrapped in bubble wrap or something. So it'll need to stand up to some pretty serious G's, won't it? So, yeah, I can't wait to see some more of the designs around this. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really crazy. There's an interesting little diagram they've included, but yeah, watch this space.
So last bit of news, SpaceX plans Starship Gigafactories to introduce the hypersonic age.
Yeah, in 2021, Elon Musk plans to scale the workforce at Boca Chica, which I think is in California, to 3,000 employees to eventually manufacture 2 SpaceX Starships every week.
Yeah, and they're only currently 300 employees, and this manufacturing rate will be comparable to the speed of construction of commercial wide-body airplanes.
So Elon has said that mass production will bring the cost of Starship down to $5 million. There will be 6 Raptor engines. So this means the mass production of Raptor engines at less than $1 million per engine. So what he's doing, he's listen to that. What they're saying is 2 SpaceX Starships every week. Now, there are 52 weeks a year. That's 104. I'm doing my maths. 104 Starships every year. That's a lot of.
That's unreal.
And that's all reusable. And
those things can land themselves. Yeah, and look, we will be doing a full show on space in the near future because it is actually starting to get closer and closer to reality. I feel like for most of our lives growing up, we've had to kind of temper our expectations, but through Musk and a few other people, and just the advances we're seeing, I mean, we're not that far from moon bases now. We're not that far from landing on asteroids and starting to mine the things. And that's really what Musk has a lot of his sights set on is getting up into orbit and then building things up there and using that as a launch pad to the solar system.
So, I mean, they're really bringing the hypersonic age into being. I mean, these are hypersonic vehicles. The Starship can fly at Mach 15 to Mach 26. The super heavy Starship will be more expensive, but a heavier payload capacity. But they're also hypersonic vehicles.
Yeah, and that means SpaceX is going to be ahead of all those trying to build hypersonic airplane. Now, there are competitors. Blue Origin is targeting 2021 for commercial orbital launches.
The New Glenn rocket, I think, is what they're calling it. That's their first stage reusable equivalent to the Falcon Heavy class rocket.
Yep. And if they're successful on schedule with New Glenn, then Blue Origin will be about 3 years behind SpaceX. So
but that would still be the second most advanced.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point, mate, where you have to just stop doubting Musk, don't you? Like everyone's been saying, they're going to run out of money soon, they're going to go broke soon, blah blah blah. But everything's pointing to them pushing further and further ahead.
He's got a big old middle finger held up to the rest of us.
Now, China has several space rocket startups that are performing SpaceX Grasshopper or Falcon 9R style launches too.
So just more competition, just more awesome stuff, more stuff into space, more things that can fall on your head ultimately from space.
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
Wherever you're joining us from, it's a pleasure having you here. Do you know someone who might enjoy this? Please feel free to share it with them.
You can find us at FOMO.show.
You can jump on our Telegram at FOMO.show/Telegram.
You can follow us on Twitter at _FOMO_show.
And on YouTube at FOMO.show/YouTube.
That's it for us here at the FOMO Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
If you like our show, why not leave us a rating in your podcast player and subscribe in your podcast app of choice or via our YouTube channel. I'm Matt.
And I'm Joe.
And as always, remember,
no FOMO. Yeah, the first headline, 12% of blockchain...
Is she coming through too, or?
Not anymore, no.
Okay, cool.
When you open, I think you opened the door and then I just heard an old chat. She's very vocal.
She's playing it. Yeah, she is. She's very vocal. She's playing out there.
Oh, cool. Nah, we're all good.
Awesome.
Oh, and that's got rid of the rumble, by the way. Anyway.
Great.
When the first Microsoft Surface came out, I spent the entire summer, I was on my uni holidays, so I was working at an ad agency. I worked every single day saving up money to buy one of these new Microsoft Surfaces, the very first version that came out. Yeah. Because I saw the Microsoft Surface launch and I was sold by it. So I saved up all summer to buy the cheapest one of the lot. and it turned out I bought the one that had the limited version of. It was the Surface RT.
Oh no, RT. Oh.
Yeah, and that was 6 months of my life was spent. Well, it was like 4 months of my life was spent working hard to buy a terrible tablet. So I'm still a bit sore, but I love where they're going.
Yeah. Oh mate, I feel for you. That's horrible. For anyone that doesn't know, RT was like, so the Surface was kind of promised as this like tablet, but fully functional Windows PC, and the RT was just like this abortion of a like a very stripped down version of the Surface that had its own like own operating system, and it was kind of like what Windows 8, parts of Windows 8 came from, and ugh.
So I'm the sucker that bought horrible. That one of the few. So excuse me if I'm still a bit salty. But anyway, moving on.
A lot packed into that too.
Right, that was awesome.
A lot packed into that.
Yeah, I was starting to think when I was doing some of the putting the news together, you know how I've been categorizing the news against blockchain, future tech, AR, VR, privacy, general world news. It's going to get to the point where we're just going to end up having to do one blockchain episode, one future tech episode, one AR, VR episode, one transport episode.
Yeah, true.
And then it just means that all of our listeners can just get one topic. Just
I think that'd be great too, because things would feed into each other. We can spend a bit more time. I like our theme stuff, man.